Welcome to the Aiki Dojo Podcast. I am David Ito, Chief Instructor of the Aikido Center of Los Angeles. And with me is...
Ken Watanabe.
Bill D'Angelo.
And we have a special guest, Glenn Yoshida Sensei.
Good afternoon, everyone.
The topic today is Aikido the art of peace? It's a big one.
Is Aikido the art of peace? No, it is not. Ken?
I agree. It is not the art of peace.
Yoshida Sensei?
Well, Ken and I were talking on the drive over, and I thought I have heard Heiwa no Michi, the path of peace, but not the art of peace. That's quite a difference. I don't know if I, call it that. Yeah.
Bill?
I'm going to go with it might be. And the reason I say that is we may all be thinking of a different meaning for the word peace in this context.
That is true. The art of peace. So art meaning like craftsmanship. Peace meaning P-E-A-C-E as in no violence, no war.
The lack of conflict.
The lack of conflict.
I think at the most extreme, I don't know what you, Sensei, think, is that it could be pacivistic, it could be pacifist, it could be conflict resolution, it could be what your mental state has to be. And there's so many things that could be, but peace is not, I think in this context, it's not, to me, it's not clear.
So Yoshida Sensei, explain the Heiwa no Michi.
Well, that's what I recall hearing when I trained in Japan and at Hombu.
Heiwa means?
Heiwa meaning peace. Like in that Hiroshima, you have the Heiwa Koen, the Peace Park. So that is just a straight-on definition of Heiwa. The people in Hiroshima definitely do not want another war. They've had enough of that. But to call Aikido the art of peace, that's like we said, so many interpretations of the word peace in that case. The people of Hiroshima definitely mean it without war. But, not that anybody, we do not want a war, but I'm not sure what Heiwa, what art of peace means.
But if I ask the question, when you break down the word Heiwa, I'm assuming wa is wago no wa, like harmony.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm not, like my Japanese is very rusty. So the definition of hey would be something like the same hey that's in the Pacific Ocean. Like
That's
tranquil.
Yeah, tranquil.
So tranquil harmony is, but that's just the literal definition, which could mean almost anything, same as peace, I assume.
Yeah, I think you could, but the Westerners make a mistake when they see these characters, because this is what the Japanese, known in Japanese as jukugo. It's an idiomatic expression. Yeah, it's not a. There are components for the word, but the meaning changes when you put them together. Slight nuances. We have Latin and Greek roots, but when you start to put them together, then it slightly changes. You can guess at the meaning, yeah, and that's what the spelling bee kids do. But yeah, I wouldn't quite put it he as in Taiheyo and wa as in wago, yeah, wagyu beef. So that wa meaning Japan, but I don't think that wa means Japan in that case, yeah.
No.
And then when we say art of peace, are we saying that Aikido is the art of peace? Aikido means the art of peace, but it doesn't. But the I don't know, the abbreviated, the meaning, the intention behind Aikido, people think means the art of peace.
Yeah, I've heard people say I is the coming together, peace, and ki, the universal energy, and do, the way of. So this becomes the way of universal harmony or universal peace. I've always disagreed with that
Why?
because it is not Aikido. The way I train, it is Aikido, the way of Aiki no Michi.
Oh, okay.
And then, so I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out just what this Aiki means.
What does it mean to you?
In a just a general sense, it is I have to be in not harmony, but I have to be in synchronize with you. Yeah, the spirits have to synchronize. I have to match, first of all, on a very fundamental level, as with any physical skill or any skill, you have to have understand the movement of the other person. So if we are playing basketball, I have to be in harmony with your movement if I'm going to keep you from moving down the court. Yeah, have to be at enough of a distance so we don't run into each other, but enough to interfere with your movement. And that would be a kind of, Aiki. And what we are trying to do is, I believe in our Aikido training, is I have to project my intention and allow you to try to read that intention and be in coordination with it. So as in Uke, I tried to, well, I could train every day for several hours, so I tried to project my intention of an attack, like Shomenuchi. I would look at where I had to hit and come generate the force to hit that. And I hope my partner would be able to feel that and to work with that. And I remember there are times when my partners would do that. So we had something to work on, definite focus. It's like if you're working with a sword, you're going to hit a certain spot. You're not going to come in generally. And you had to move and disrupt that person's ma'ai and all of that. So that's the Aiki. And I think in our daily lives, that's any married person knows that's what you have to have with your wife. Yeah, you have to be able to sense the intention, even though she doesn't say it. You have to not sense it, but I don't like to say harmony, but it is harmony that you have. You're synchronizing.
Ken, what do you think is when Yoshida Sensei says the way of Aiki? What does that mean to you?
My understanding of Aiki is in other martial arts, they have physical unbalancing. They call it kuzushi. But when I practice, Aikido almost doesn't have something called a kuzushi. It has Aiki, which you synchronize with your attacker, and in that synchronization, when you align with their power, you draw it out, you weaken it, you destroy their center, and in a way, that's a very, very high level of kuzushi. You're so in sync with their movement, and later on, as you train, you become in sync with their energy. Once you can sync with their movement, you can learn how to sync with their energy and their intention, and in that way, you draw out their power, you draw them forward, and their center gets disrupted, and they almost fall down on their own. You don't have to throw them over your hip, or you don't have to sweep their leg. That's judo style. In Aikido, you do something that you just line up with them, and it looks fake. Because there's no tripping, there's no shoulder throw, there's no hip throw. It looks like you just touch them and they fall down. So my understanding is that Aiki is a very, very high level of synchronization, drawing out their power, aligning with their power. Everything you think about synchronizing with the other person, you try to do that in your Aikido training.
But if you think, but is Aikido the art of peace? if we really kind of really trying to understand that question, is Aikido a martial art? Yoshida Sensei?
Well, yes, I believe so.
But then how can it be a martial art, but also the art of peace?
I learned an old expression. It was Shinbu Fusatsu.
Mm.
We're all familiar with this. Our listeners who may not know this expression, the Shinbu, the Bu of the gods, does not kill. Shinbu Fusatsu. And this is the foundation of what Budo is. Of course, they did the war and all of that sort of thing, but those are martial skills. But true Budo, the Bu, is to stop the halberd. And that is before, it's not a defensive move, you move in and stop it before it comes to you. And I've always thought of this as the embodiment of the kind of Aikido I was trying to develop. And so we train in Aikido, yeah, and there is a certain concept of Aikido, but today's topic is the art of peace. And I thought, well, yeah, kind of. I wouldn't quite put it that way. It's such a good slogan. I mean, you know.
I mean, peace implies non-fighting, and people say Aikido is a non-fighting martial art. And what does that mean? To us, Westerners, people think fighting is like two guys square off with each other, they raise up their fist, and they exchange blows. Mm-hmm. But after training, you realize, oh, Aikido is not resisting or pushing against. You Aiki the other person.
Oh, so what you're saying is that one person may be, quote unquote, fighting, but the other person is not actively contending or resisting, and that is Aiki?
Something like that, but you're not just giving up.
No, but I mean, you're using Aiki principles and Aikido techniques, but you're not actively contending or resisting.
Yes, you're not stopping the attack. It's almost like you're letting it happen, but then it's almost like, what's it called? Letting them hang giving them enough rope to hang themselves. Except you give them way more rope and you wind that rope a bunch of times around their neck and you hang them like that. You give them so much rope, but then you're completely in control the whole time. I don't know if that's a great metaphor, but...
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that I think that the art of peace, I don't think Sensei said those words, right?
I don't recall ever reading anything like that. I've read some of his sayings and what Sensei believes. It would come out in the Aikido newspapers back then, but I don't recall that. I cannot say for sure. I'm not haven't researched that, but if you call something the art of peace, art is and peace have such wide meanings. As we mentioned, peace could be the absence of fighting. Peace could be peace could be as if I beat you down and you're flat on the ground, we have peace. 50%, at least, you know. Yeah. But if we're saying peace in the terms of harmony, if you're satisfied with it and I'm satisfying, that comes out to détente.
But is it? Are they talking about the art of inner peace?
Well, peace. Everybody likes to think of peace and harmony and happy, joy. Well, I don't think Aikido is that. I think Aikido is we're trying to not solve problems, but we're trying to come to agreements, if you want to call it that. If they call harmony, then okay, I can go with harmony. Yeah, I can go with that. But harmony involves what would be, for lack of a better term right now, is a bit of compromise, a fitting in. And it might not be fair, 50-50. Yeah, peace is not 50-50, but you have art, and art implies, again, my interpretation of art would be there are various teachable skills, learnable skills. If we're taking painting, definitely you have to do a certain brush stroke. Yeah, you have to have a certain color, mixing colors. You have to do all of these little things that you go to art school to learn. Yeah. Music is the same thing. You have to learn how to play certain notes a certain way. But Aikido, does it have that to deal with other people?
Well, maybe that when you look at Sensei do Aikido, you and someone says, describe what you saw. You say, it was like the art of peace. No, I'm just saying, I'm not saying that it was. I'm just saying that this phrase, which is currently attached to Aikido, could be the thing which is drowning Aikido. Mm-hmm. Because a person goes, I want to learn the art of peace and non-resistance and the art of fighting without fighting. And then they get there and someone does shihonage and bangs their head on the ground. And they go, whoa, where's the peace and harmony, bro?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's, too hippie for me.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, where did this concept of the art of peace come from?
It's a good question where it came from, because our training has not been like that. I mean,
well, I mean, you were at Homewood Dojo in 1973, correct?
I went there, yeah.
So that's what 4 years shy of the founder's passing.
Yes.
Were they practicing the art of peace? Or was it very peaceful? Was it?
Well, after practice, everybody was nice, and before practice, they're nice, and during Keiko, it's another story. I mean, they don't kill you, but they sure let you know how the technique works. Yeah. My first practice, I remember it very clearly, was Seki Shoji, and he taught me peace.
And when you woke up, you had harmony.
Yeah, I was in harmony, totally. Yes.
The art of peace sounds like a marketing phrase. The art of peace.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me, because my experience, probably like everybody in this room, is practice is peaceful in the sense that it's orderly and nobody's, making trouble. No one's talking. No one's stopping. It should run like a machine smoothly. Everyone's trying their best.
But would you call that peace? Wouldn't you just call that
order?
Order, synchronicity or whatever. But you wouldn't say that is peace.
I don't. Sometimes when you watch practice, it's a little bit mesmerizing. People are just falling, moving around. You're just wow. You just get caught up in the flow of everybody. If there's somebody that's not standing around looking confused, and at our dojo, people come to the dojo and go, everyone knows what they're doing. There's no one standing around looking like lost most of the time.
But that would be that everyone is in sync.
In sync, yeah.
But being in sync doesn't necessarily. I mean, when a tank shoots a shell at another tank,
yeah,
it is in sync. But that's not peace.
That's not peace.
I think one of the interesting things listening to the three of you is that, I'm sure all of us run into people that are not Aikidoists or even martial artists. And I would say over 50% of the time that I run into someone who finds out I do Aikido, they may not say the art of peace, but the way they talk about Aikido is very much what Ito Sensei you're describing, which is people are like, oh, it's non-resistance, it's resolution, it's pacifist. I can recall entire conversations where I'm listening to someone telling me how Aikido is the art of peace. And they have no context for it other than something out there in the popular imagination.
Right. They read a story on Medium or in the Atlantic about how, Aikido is the art of peace. And then they, oh, yes, I understand. It's the art of peace.
I think people latch onto it because there is a group of people, this is gross generalization, but that they may be interested in martial arts, but they perceive other martial arts as too violent.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is that Aikido has been now painted with this brush
right.
of peace, love, and harmony, the art of fighting without fighting, using your attacker's force and energy against them. And you go, I want to do that. And then when someone smashes you
in the head,
with kotegaishi, you go, wait a second, what?
Where's the peace in that?
Where's the fighting without fighting?
Yeah.
And I thought they're supposed to put me down gently with the least amount of injury possible, but now I have a concussion. And the doctor says I should probably stop doing this martial art. So, that's the thing, is like, when you learned under Furi Sensei in 1988, were you guys practicing peace?
We were not practicing peace. I was practicing how to survive on the mat and catch on to these techniques.
It was in the 80s and 90s. It was Gladiator's Arena.
It was stressful. I don't want to get yelled at, so I'm going to do these techniques as correctly as possible. And this person that's grabbing me, like, sometimes back then they would resist you. They wouldn't let you throw them down. So you had to find a way to, it was almost like, is Aikido the art of non-fighting? Well, I feel like I was fighting with people all the time. You know what I mean? Like, people are just, they grab you a little bit hard, they resist you, you can't move. And it's like, what is this? It's like a competition almost.
So here's an interesting thing to talk about, is that in class, should you be actively resisting your partner or actively attacking them with all you got?
It's second half of what you said, yes.
Yes.
I mean, when you practice within reason, you will attack according to that's where you have to, as a senior, as a senpai, you would read what skill level that person is, and you give them a little bit more than they are used to handling. And as the Japanese say, you level up, so you rise, the person will, and I always sought out senpai, and they would always take me within an inch of what I could handle and measure that up, and you get a little better. So next time you see them, you know their tricks, so to speak, you come back a little stronger. If you always have this, what I see now is this cooperative ragdoll dance-like Aikido. I said, how do you get better? How do you improve? But the improvement is in your martial skill. In your Aikido, you have to at times offer resistance to show your partner that this is not where it is. Or if you're inadvertently resisting, that you say you're not doing this right. You're trying to force the movement where you should go another way, and that's a way we get better. If we just do what we want to do on the mat, then we have no art. It's nothing.
But then if the person is attacking me all out and taking it to my level, maybe a little bit farther, what I'm trying to get at is that, like, we're trying to figure out where this idea of peace comes from.
Okay, peace. Where does it come from? I think I was thinking about this afternoon, and there's a song. I don't know who wrote it. I can't recall, but it's called Aiki no michi wa hitosuji ni onore o migaku tame ni aru are the words. It said, the sole purpose of Aikido is for me to polish myself. And that polishing of yourself is to get rid of your fears, get rid of your inhibitions, get rid of your lack of confidence. And Aikido practice done right, Aiki practice will do that for you. And so you have to encounter stress in practice. You have to encounter that. I think the art and the way we practice may seem like it doesn't coincide, but to become at peace with yourself, you have to. The art of peace, yeah. Well, I see it as it takes care of my anxieties. Am I strong enough? Am I good enough? Can I do more? How can I get better at this? That only comes through proper training and practice. But the art of peace, we're going back to that.
Well, I guess in what you're saying is then that the art of peace is really the end product.
Yeah, that would be a wonderful way
to put it. But it wouldn't be the in process.
I can't see it as being an in-process thing, like we're on the mat practicing peace.
These things that you derived, you extrapolated from your training, created this peace, and the art that you're creating is yourself.
Yeah, I would call it that.
But but those are end products.
End products.
They're not the in-process product, right? Like
No.
in process, you're working on your tenkan, your tenshin, your kotagaishi, your fear, your footwork, all these things. And then it has to be a martial art or it doesn't create the stress for change.
Yes.
Like something you said at lunch today is that person didn't struggle enough.
Yeah.
So if that person didn't struggle enough, as you were calling it, what was that word you used today? Tanren?
Tanren, yeah.
Tan is
forging, and ren is polishing, and so you have to be forged, like you take metals, and you forge it into the general shape of what we like to use the sword metaphor, into a general shape, and then you have to polish it. You have to keep rubbing and getting off all the bumps and unnecessary portions of it. I also thought that Japanese, when you forge, you hammer. And when you hammer, you actually, interestingly, the impurities are extracted. Yeah. So to purify yourself, you need to be, metaphorically pounded. You have to go through some tough experiences to get your evil thoughts, your egotistical thoughts, and out of you. And then you're more able to deal better with people. I think better in a more harmonious manner. But this isn't always the case. There are people who take a lot of beatings and still are bullies. Yeah, that can happen too. But in our sense, I think, for my own case, it's all I can say. Having been thrown enough, you get that. What's the word here? That those harmful feelings out of you, those violent feelings come out when you get thrown around enough, and you become peaceful.
As my kids would say, the intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Whenever my daughter does something naughty, or like she cuts one of her doll's hair or pops a balloon that she got, she said, "I let the intrusive thoughts win."
So that would be almost like the opposite of peace.
Right. Because
You
you're
let these intrusive thoughts in, then that creates conflict within you. Do I? Do I not? Do I pound this person down on the floor? Or do I just throw them down nicely, even though they're resisting me?
well, that comes down to intention. Mm-hmm. If you intend to hurt them or throw them down, then your intention is incorrect. But if your intention is to only train hard for the sake of training hard, for the sake of improvement, then there's no malice behind it.
No.
But the moment you want to do it because you don't like them, you have a problem with them, that's intention.
So the art of peace is almost like the pinnacle of the mountain that you're trying to climb.
Well, that's
Would
what.
you say?
Yeah, because that Shimu Fusatsu is about. It's true Budo does not kill. Right? And you go, what the hell? It's martial art. Some people get killed. Right? But then you have to think. You go farther than that. That as you alluded to, Bu is the characters inside of the character for war. Bu is spear and stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you say, well, it's stop the spear. And then what does that mean? And then the highest goal in martial arts is to not kill, but to put down the sword.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then en route to that place, you have to you have to pound,
Yeah.
right? You have to pound and be pounded. And the forge that we're talking about in this situation is the mat.
Yes.
And that the more you had to take your pounding to get to the dojo.
Mm-hmm.
Traffic, work, spouses, friends, other opportunities. That was the pounding. You got to the dojo. Then you're tired and you have to give it your all. That's more pounding. And then you have to throw and be thrown. More pounding. But at the end of the day, when you leave, like you were saying that when you leave the dojo, you feel good. And then that is the art of peace.
You're at peace with yourself because, you've gone through all of that.
But you didn't start there.
No.
That is the end product of the training. That is the end product of your Aikido movement.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, they talked about that the true sword kills all on its own.
Mm-hmm.
The Katsujinken, right? The sword kills. It might have been in my hand, but it killed.
Mm-hmm.
It has the life of its own, and that's where you're divorcing yourself, your intention from the action. Right. So maybe that's the art of, that is where we find the art of peace.
Like peace of mind.
Peace of mind, inner peace.
Where they say peace through firepower, peace through superior firepower. You're so strong and so accomplished, and you have this air about you that people are like, no, I'm not going to fight him.
Or as Mike would say, an armed society is a polite society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then how do we, you know, like one or a few authors have kind of coined this phrase that Aikido is about peace and harmony. And then as people grab onto that concept, it becomes the natural understanding of Aikido, right? And then, you know, if you're in a place where there's a lot of hippies in the '60s, and they go, "Hey, what's this Aikido thing?" and you go, "The art of peace." They, "Oh, I join," and then now you can eat, and then it like takes on a life of its own. And that now we're always say, "Oh, Aikido, it's about becoming a better person." Well, that is way, way, way far down the line.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Aikido's about inner peace, way, way, way down.
Yeah, that will never happen without practice. Lots of practice.
Well, that's-
lots of correct practice.
That's the ton.
That's the ton.
Yeah.
And hopefully you have a good teacher that can forge you correctly rather than a teacher who just pounding without knowing what shape they're trying to form you into. He doesn't even know how to polish you to bring out the beauty within you.
Well, yeah, and that's the hard part, because if done wrong, the abused becomes the abuser.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question, Sensei. Is it, when does the student get self-knowledge about that in the process? Is the teacher imparting that in the way the practices are done? Where does the student wake up to that?
20 years?
20 years?
Maybe.
20 years, maybe 10. No, 10, 20 years in the old way was about Sandan, would you say?
20 years Sandan, maybe Ondan?
Is that the old Dan ranking?
The old Dan ranking,
Old
not the
old-
new Dan ranking.
Old Dan ranking, it took about 15 to 20 years to get to Sandan.
Yeah, Sandan.
So I would imagine that they say that we have a change in consciousness every 7 to 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
So 16, right? Every 8 years. So you forge yourself for the first 10 and then polish yourself for the next 10. And then that's where you really start to gain that benefit. But I don't know, maybe 20 years seems too long. Not for by people's standards, but does it seem too long when you think about, like, yeah, it takes about that long to really grasp Aikido and then to give up this whole I want to beat other people up. So I mean, like, if you think about, you know, the inner peace, it starts to come in. I think you automatically start to feel it class by class. Because at the end of the class, you exerted yourself, endorphins are kicking in, you feel good. And then maybe after 10 years of doing it, you really start to see yourself like, oh, I don't fight with my coworkers as much. I help my wife with the dishes. You know, I stopped cheating on my taxes. And then you start to live your life a different way. You start to live your life as art. But I don't know, 10 years? 20 years?
Maybe 10 minimum. 10 minimum.
10 if you train a lot.
If you train consistently and you have talent.
I would say talent has
Well,
to
maybe not talent. You work hard. You're a hard worker.
yeah.
You pay attention.
Grit.
And then you have enough intelligence to follow the recipe.
True, because what happens is at a certain level on the mat, your demons start to come up, and then you're like fighting with every person, and you're just a super jerk. But if you're in a 7-day week dojo and you train 3 to 5 days a week, 10 years.
Yes.
You train twice a week or less, 20 years.
Yeah, 20. Definitely 20.
You know, if that. If like, because the thing is, it's just not taking long enough.
Yeah. And that ton, if you're not being hammered, informed every day, then you're just going ching ching Wednesday.
Yeah.
Then ding ding Wednesday. Ding ding.
No, it's a raindrop in hell.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a raindrop in hell.
And then, you know, so if it's like Sensei, when you were at Homa Dojo, you focused primarily on movement and technique.
Yeah, well,
You didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to become a better person.
no. No, we were trying to survive on the mat, but we loved what we were trying to do. Yeah, we're trying to achieve physical competency, technical competency, and there was no time to think about heiwa and other such nonsense. You know, the butterflies and that kind of thing. It didn't enter our mind. Oh, you have to be harmonious. So no, you have to just do it right, and you found that that you got physically stronger, you got physically more skilled, and you every now and then you could take a dan examination, every so many years, second dan to nidan to sandan, it's about 3 or 4 years, and you find that's you could feel the accomplishment, and you could deal with you could take ukemi better, but there was never any thought about peace and harmony.
Bill, in Greek martial arts, is there do they talk about this at all? Any type of art of peace end product?
I don't think so, but maybe as a roundabout way to answer that question, I would say, again, listening to the three of you, I think that what you're talking about that gets developed after that 15, 20, 25 years is a sense of personal ethics and integrity. That's how I read it, because I think that this art of peace thing is very much a third-party external view of what we do. But like learning how to overcome your own violence, your bad intents, is about becoming an ethical person. And there, for sure, the ancient Greeks, at least in the, from 500 to 0 BC, every citizen was required to study and to do physical effort. And usually the physical effort was wrestling or martial arts training. And your skill level on that obviously had a component with respect to protecting your political entity. So that's why I would say ethics and integrity. Because you could be a very high-level skill practitioner in any martial art, including Aikido, and have terrible ethics and terrible integrity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of martial arts teachers that do.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is yes. I think that in the ancient world, martial arts were wrapped up into your duties of self-development and being a good person. But I don't think they would ever call it the art of peace necessarily.
I wonder why in Japanese and I guess maybe Chinese martial arts, they have this concept of the Wei or the Tao. That you don't really see in other forms of combat systems in Europe, or other places. Even in the Southeast Asian ones, they don't have the concept of the Tao or Do.
What is that? Our Confucian inheritance?
I don't know. It must be, right? And then is the idea of a Do a Meiji era post World War II construct that they created so that they could start practicing martial arts again?
That's a good question.
Isn't Bushido or Budo a recent word?
Well, that's Inazo Nitobe construct. That it's.
What does that mean, Sensei?
That's the guy who wrote the book Bushido.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nitobe. Like I know before when they talked about martial arts, they said heiho.
Yeah.
They said heiho, and they never said bujutsu or budo. They called it heiho strategy or some kind of
Yeah.
another word, a very, very old word.
Yeah. Heiho, you
Yeah,
strategy. Yeah. Tactics, martial tactics. So my feeling was you should not know just individual tactic, but you had to know not just tactical, but also strategic.
Yeah. I mean, like, just because you can fire a rifle and hit it dead center every time, if you don't know how to move on the battlefield,
Yep.
if you don't know how to manipulate your opponent to do something, then you catch him in that bad position, you know, you could be like an average marksman, but if your tactics are sound, you will win over someone who's a better marksman with worse tactics. I assume that's what I heard.
Well, that's what when I was in ROTC in college. Yeah, to what was it? They had the U.S. Army had a term. It says to destroy the will or capacity of the enemy to resist through fire and maneuver. And that kind of encompasses everything, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the shock and awe.
Yeah. Well, and if you can capture the enemy as without actually having to kill them all, that's so much better. If you can get them to surrender, through overcoming their will to resist.
That's the highest form of warfare, I assume.
That would be great. Like what Toyotomi Hideyoshi did that. He just showed up with a whole bunch of, just colored the horizon with his warriors. And
they cried, "Uncle"?
They just said, "Uncle." I said, "We'll work with you. It's better."
Yeah,
Better than resisting. We will comply and preserve our community and save lives.
No, like when I was in college, we would play paintball wars all the time.
Yeah.
And one time this guy showed up who was Marine Force Recon.
Oh.
He had a single shot rifle. And, you know, back in those days, you had the ones where you pull the thing back, shoot, pull the thing back, shoot. And then you also had the ones that were like semi-automatic.
Uh-huh.
We all had semi-automatics or pumps.
Uh-huh.
This guy had a shoot, pull the bolt back, you know, like single shot.
Yeah.
Marine Force Recon. That guy killed every single one of us. He just maneuvered. He maneuvered. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
And by like the third game, it was completely demoralizing. You're like, why even go out? I don't know. He's going to come anyways. And then he would just pop out of nowhere with his single shot. Patink, 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 and you're like, But I mean, that same idea that he was so good at maneuvering, he didn't need to have this, you know, high performance weapon.
Yeah, you didn't need overwhelming firepower, just well-directed firepower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think there's a play of language going on. So I was thinking if you were just talking about paintball, I mean, I'm not the resident firearms expert, but I think in the 19th century, some of the sidearms in the West were called peacemakers, like the cult peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the pun was like you shoot the person dead, now you got peace.
Yeah, there's no more fight.
Yeah,
Fight's
there's
over.
no more fight.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe then, you know, the next time someone sees you and you're holstering a peacemaker, and they're like, I don't want to do that either. So it's similar to what you were saying about if someone is super skilled and projects that aura. But I do think there's an element of playful language going on, because everything that the three of you have said is that there's no way Aikido could be peaceful from day one, because you could never get from here to here in your training.
Yeah, you can never get from, you know, there to there, but but it's the thing is that the art of peace has been hung around Aikido's neck, and then because it's been hung around Aikido's neck, you have a marketing problem. You go to McDonald's, you don't expect to get a hot dog, right? You expect to get a burger, right? When we go to Pie and Burger, you got to order the burger, right? Yeah. So you when you go to your Aikido class and somebody twists you or throws you down, you get all wide-eyed and you go, wait a second. Where's the art of fighting without fighting?
Well, we can't call it the art of twisting your arm until you say uncle, you know. We can't, it's not quite, I don't know how to put that succinctly, but, you know, the art of peace, the art of, you know, it's the art of Aiki. Whatever, then that becomes a difficult thing to sell because it's such a complex term.
Yeah, right. So you just say peace, and then everybody goes,
Buy
"Oh,
in.
I know what peace is."
Yeah.
But do they know what peace is?
Well, you know because you got that right in the third grade spelling bee.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have your own idea of peace. And I think language is loaded with different connotation. And I was thinking that's why in the old days in Aikido, the teacher never said anything. He never used language, or maybe in Iaido, like you just minarao, you watch and you copy and you develop your sense.
Yeah.
And then you weren't burdened with language. But you could, when you were thrown by your sensei, you could think, it feels like this, it feels like this. And then you try your best to duplicate that feeling in your own practice. But as soon as they say, Aikido is peaceful, then all the students are, oh yeah. And then it starts affecting your mind starts affecting your movement, I assume.
Yeah, because remember you were saying something the other day that Westerners always want to know what the teacher did,
Yes.
and then the Asians or Japanese want to know what did it feel like,
What did it feel like?
and that because the what did it feel like gets you closer to the technique, but because it's maybe a Western concept to want to know. I want to know. I want to know, what did you do? What did you do? You know, it's like if you looked at a magician in Japan versus the United States, everyone in the United States audience is a skeptic, whether as a Japanese person or all ready to believe.
I didn't know that.
No, I'm just saying. If I didn't say that, I say if you look at it, perhaps the Western audience is ready to be skeptical, but the Japanese audience is ready to be a believer.
Or I guess you could say like it's like trying something, tasting something. You can describe what it tastes like, and you go, okay, it tastes like an orange, or it tastes like citrus. And to me, citrus is like orange or lemon. Then you have something like yuzu. You're like, I've never had citrus like this. Okay, now in my head, I know, okay, yuzu tastes like yuzu. Orange tastes like orange. Aikido tastes like Aikido. You know? And once you know peace, you go, oh, peace tastes like peace. But then how many different, like we were talking about all different flavors of peace, but which flavor do you know?
Yeah, and then as we sit there and the person's like, you know, the moment they say it's good or bad, you're creating judgment and label. And then because that judgment and label, you go, oh, Yoshida, good. Ito, bad. Oh, so I don't go to his class. But then you're taking it out of context and you're just creating a judgment without really sitting with it and going, oh, that's what they mean by that. And you said, no, I need to know. You know, like if using your example, I go to the restaurant and I taste it, and as a Japanese person, maybe I go, delicious. Oh, delicious. Maybe a Westerner tastes and goes, is that cardamom? What is it?
That's true.
I think it's pepper.
Analyze,
Pepper is what makes it taste. They're trying to understand it, analyze
Yeah.
it, define it, and then maybe that's a aspect of your ego.
Sensei, when you're talking about how the art of peace moniker has been hung on Aikido, I mean, as the three of you, as your experience as teachers, if people come in with that preconditioned belief, is there a particular struggle with those types of students that come in saying, well, I'm here, I'm ready to do the art of peace, or no?
I mean, if you're a student and you watch a class, you're like, this doesn't, like, people are getting thrown down. Like, that doesn't look peaceful to me.
Well, you know, then everybody comes with their preconceived notion of what peace is. But if they're looking at Aikido and they say, yeah, I want to do that, and then you come in with not thinking about peace and harmony, and peace and harmony is all right, but isn't Aikido more fun? It's a concrete thing you can see and feel, and if you like to move, here it is. Yeah.
But you know what most people, I would imagine, I'm pretty sure most people come in with really one concept in their mind. That concept is, I want to be less afraid of whatever that is. I want to be So when you say I want peace, what you're really saying is that you want the absence of fear. When you want to learn a self-defense, I want to not be afraid of that guy at the beach who keeps kicking sand in my face. Right? And so really they don't even know what they're looking for. They go, I don't want to go to a martial arts school, and then the first thing the teacher does is dead leg me by kicking me in the thigh.
Yeah.
And then, I want to go there and I want to feel good about what I'm doing, and then I want to be empowered so I don't feel afraid anymore. Right? So really the art of peace is really the absence of fear. But how do you gain the absence of fear? From a martial arts standpoint, you trained, you gain the confidence to not be afraid to go, excuse me, please don't kick sand in my face.
Yeah.
Rather than before you'd be like, thank you, sir, may I have another?
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we think about this idea of fear, right, you're just gravitating toward the thing that you're looking for, which will cause you to be less afraid, whether it be Taekwondo, BJJ. Oh, yeah, of course, every fight ends on the ground. So then I better take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't want to be raped, and then the person's going to be on top of me. I'm going to take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's really what we're really thinking about is the absence of fear. And so when I bring it back to what the last thing that you said is that Aikido for the fun of doing Aikido, right?
Yeah.
You're doing it because you enjoy doing Aikido. You enjoy rolling around, throwing people around, cranking the wrist, they crank your wrists. But you don't really want people to be trying to actively bludgeon you or put you in the hospital.
Yeah.
But then if you don't ton them, right, they're never going to get to the opportunity to rend themselves.
Well, one of the things that Aikido has, I think, it shares this with what's another Judo. Yeah, is that you're handled. People put their hands on you. I have a karate friend I see when I go out and walk my dog, and we talk about this. Very seldom do they get grabbed.
Oh, yeah. I constantly, when we get new people in, you're like, no, grab. It's okay to grab. And then they're daintily grabbing because we are taught as a society that's rude.
Yeah, it's impolite.
And then,
we have laws against that now, huh?
Yeah, no, like when you're holding your little brother's hand and you grab too hard, your parent says, not so hard. He's only 2 years old. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
When you go to, like the other day I was sleeping and my son poked me in the ribs in the middle of the night. And I flipped. I was like, what are you doing? I started getting mad at him. He's like, there was an earthquake. And I go, oh, sorry about that. Are you okay?
Yeah.
But because he didn't just touch my leg. Yeah. He jabbed me in the ribs with his finger. And I jumped up and got all mad. Right, because we're not supposed to do that. That's impolite. So when you go up, you're supposed to tap them on the leg. Hey, Daddy, there was an earthquake, instead of poking me in the rib. And so we're taught to be polite. And so when someone grabs, they grab in a way which is supposed to be very polite.
Teachers can't even put their hand on a kid's shoulder. Public schools, you can't touch a kid
At all.
No, not in any way.
A friend of mine just got a reprimand from her principal. She's, you can't touch the kid.
Well, because that's one bad apple spoiled it for the bunch.
Yeah, you're gonna, a written reprimand that she touched the kid on the shoulder.
Well, that's because we're trying to create a society that is inclusive and equal.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't grab people strongly. If there's a power vacuum, the person at the top doesn't touch the people at the bottom.
Yeah.
There's all these things, but really, when we think about it, what we're all striving to do is to attain this inner peace.
Yeah. So when you mentioned that, what we want is the absence of fear. Yeah, and that's one definition of peace, inner peace. As people look at Aikido and say, is it good for self-defense? I have to say, well, I think, yes, there are elements of it, like being touched, being grabbed, being pushed, being shoved, being thrown down. I think these are very important things, skills to learn, because the person that accosts you on the street is not following the mandate of the public schools. So I taught a class last year about Aikido for safety. And I said to them, you cannot fight off anybody. You can't. And some of them said, well, can I hit him? I said, well, you could, but it's not going to do anything. You have to learn how to hit. And this person that's going to accost you is bigger than you, younger than you, stronger, and you can't hit him. It's not going to do anything. So the only thing you can do is to escape. So we trained escape and evasion tactics. I mean, you're not going to apply anything. You're going to get your hands off and create some ma'ai by moving away. And I think that's in our daily Aikido practice, we're just accustomed to people being next to us, grabbing our wrist, trying to hit us in the head. And I think that's, as far as being safe from being accosted, I think that really helps. I don't say that's the goal of it, but those things are quite valuable in our training.
Like we grow comfortable with being
You get comfortable
hit,
being touched. Yeah.
and we're not, when we get touched or hit, our fear doesn't get overly elevated. We're able to remain calm and react in the appropriate way, which is for us the Aikido way. Do some kind of technique, irimi, tenkan, tenchin. I mean, even would you think the Aikido movement influence our mental posture? Like, would we become more peaceful from that? Because I know Furia Sensei said, you cannot understand Aikido without understanding how to do the technique. Like, it has to be in your body. You can't just intellectualize it. It's just like intellectualizing what pizza tastes like.
Yeah.
You have to actually eat the pizza. Oh, this is what pizza tastes like. Then you eat another pizza. Oh, this is kind of like the same, but different, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, but I think it's what you're alluding to is that the movement influences change inside of you.
That's right. Yeah.
As a symbolic gesture, and because you don't actively you move in eating me, you're creating this idea of moving in and yielding and harmony and awaseru and all those stuff. So ideally that would start to become your personality because you're acting that thing out.
Or that is your programmed reaction to an attack.
And because your new program reaction is to move in awaseru and not resist or punch back, it has a change in your demeanor. Like, for instance, driving a Prius. You really learn to drive more patiently and more in a yielding way because the car is not fast off the go.
Yes.
And then when I drive my car, which is, much faster, and then I get into the Prius, I'm like, oh, okay, I have to actively change the way I drive, which the whole time you're going, be patient, because you can't just pull out because there's an opening. You have to wait for the right opening.
Yes, I do the same thing too. My Prius versus the Ken bus. The Ken bus has a V8 engine, no, a V6. I could feel the power. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go fast now. Take more risks. No, not would say risks, but I can get into traffic, dart in and out a little bit more nimbly. But yeah, like the Prius, you gotta be more strategic.
I have to laugh. Wait till you turn 70. Watch your practice. Yeah, you go, not today. Yeah, not that one today. Yeah, you find your limitations. Yeah, like with the car, of course, the limitations. But Budo, you brought up a good point. Budo, we learn from the outside in.
Wow.
Yeah, we learn through sweat. That's how we learn it. We don't go through the brain. We go through the body.
And that's the only way to learn it, I think.
That is the only way. That's what Budo is. It's sweat, train, and it's well, I don't want to, well, yeah, it gets through training, all that.
Is that Shiba Sensei Taiku?
Taiku, yeah, Taiku, yeah, Taiku, body education, yeah, and I think you watch kids do athletics, or anybody who does athletics, it is taiku. It is education from the outside through sweat, and you learn about yourself, about overcoming a difficulty. You can't do a certain, look, there's girls on the balance beam, for crying out loud. They're jumping around on a piece of wood. But it wasn't like that from the start. There were lots of falls, lots of bruises, lots of crying. But they overcame that. Those that can do it have overcome that difficulty from the outside, from the failures. Aikido is much the same. I was thinking just the other day why I do Aikido. It's because I couldn't swim, I couldn't surf, I couldn't do team sports. And I thought, well, thank you, Aikido. I can do something. And it turns out, it's a good thing. Turns out I really, really enjoy this thing. It's opened up so many avenues, but it's given me, if you talk about the art of peace, I found personal peace through it. But it took a long, long time. Just took a long time.
Should we roll back the concept of the art of peace?
I don't like it. It's like I was just thinking about Pepsi Cola in the afternoon. I said the Pepsi Cola ad at one time was come to life. Come to life. And they tried to market this in China, so goes the story, but it didn't work. Because in Chinese, they translated that to bring your dead ancestors back to life. So is the story. But it's a good catchphrase. But some people try to believe that. I saw an NHK program where the guy goes to the dojo and he learns the art of peace, and they're all nice and friendly about their practice. And I thought, this is no good. You're not going to learn Aikido like that. You learn how to fall, but you also have to take if you're young enough, you have to take a strong fall, and you get better and better at your Aikido, and you're better able to do it by training harder. It can't all be nice. I mean, nice. I mean, if you throw me and I don't get a concussion, I consider that nice. Yeah.
I mean, I like Aikido because in a way you can throw someone as hard as you want to, full throttle, but you can still throw them safely.
Mm-hmm.
You can go as strong as you want to, but you can still throw them very, very safely.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
mm-hmm.
Other martial arts, you can't punch someone as hard as you want to. You're going to kill them. But in Aikido, like even in judo, you could throw someone down as hard as you want to. You may kill them. But in Aikido, you can throw them across the room. If they know how to fall down, then you can open it up, so to speak, if you're practicing with the right person.
Yeah, Aikido is good in that we have the skills, the techniques have been constructed. I use the word constructed, but they have been Sensei's genius. I consider he has taken something that was actually quite dangerous, and we can do it with a lot of flow, with a lot of repetition. Yeah, we can come up smiling and say, "Hey, that was great. Do it again." Yeah.
Yeah, but then like we were talking at lunch, like you have a nice soft cat's paw, and all the claws come out.
Yeah.
The claws can come out at any time. You can always attempt me. You can always elbow someone in the face.
Yeah.
There's all these hidden, not so nice things you can do in the technique.
Exactly. My father did judo, and as a child, I wanted to do judo. And I asked him once, I said, can you fight with this thing? He says, oh, yeah. He says, just let go. When you're throwing someone, just let them go. And they fall. I said, what's going to happen? Oh, they'll hit their head. I said, that easy, huh? He goes, yeah. So, and I watched judo, and I said, yeah, you hold on. You maintain your grip. And I've seen these matches on the computer, and these guys really throw solidly. They fall on the other guy, but both get up and walk away. Yeah. So it's safe. The judo is safe, rigorously done. And Aikido too. We've been injured, but I don't think we've been killed yet.
So I mean, we've hit this from multiple angles. How can we summarize where we are? That the art of peace, as it gets applied to us, may be overly simplistic, but have some truth buried inside it. How would you all?
I mean, like, it's a great slogan. Rolls off the tongue, super duper smooth. The art of peace. Come learn it. But to me, I think the word peace, it's like, how many blind men are touching the elephant?
Yeah.
And that's their own interpretation of what this elephant is. Nobody knows what the entire elephant looks like. People just know, oh, the elephant's long. The elephant has rough skin. The elephant is long with some hair at the end.
Well, is there a way to turn it around so that it works to Aikido's?
I don't.
No, maybe not.
I don't know. It's do we need a slogan?
I mean, it's almost like the damage has been done.
Yeah.
Almost. It's hard to reverse, I think. Unless, maybe, it will take a long, long time. But then everybody will have to do Aikido correctly. That's pretty much the only way. And, how hard do you think that's going to be?
Aikido correctly. That's proper training.
Proper training.
Yeah, well, that doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, I mean, even with a lot of things, it doesn't happen. And, Aikido is already a sophisticated, mature. I consider Aikido a mature martial art for mature people. It's not clanging two sticks together or clanging fists or blocking and hitting. It's a very sophisticated, high-level martial art that I understand how people misinterpret it. It's not like a martial art that you think, a martial art is this. You come to Aikido, it's like, what is this?
I might add Don Drager's definition of martial art versus martial way. Yeah, Bujutsu versus Budo. Bujutsu was to protect the group. We all had martial skills, and we would go out and into harm's way, as our armed forces do. They protect us from the enemy. And the martial way is we can turn inward and improve ourselves, which is the intention of it. And perhaps we might, I don't know if this is a fair thing, but you take something like paintball. We can go out and enjoy paintball, shoot each other, and go out and have a beer. You can't do that with a real weapon. Yeah, not this thing that real soldiers do. They go out and actually have to do injury to the other person. But the other way we can play with it. Aikido Budo has taken out many dangerous concepts, practices, so we can train in the manner of the warriors. We can use the same spirit and improve ourselves. We can get rid of our inhibitions, our anxieties, our fears through the training. Take something as simple as Nikkyo. Oh, you'll love it. All of us love Nikkyo. It hurts like heck. Yes. And I thought, when I become a black belt, it won't hurt anymore. It still hurts. Always hurts. But that's the training. You're not afraid of it. Yeah, you take it and you go, oh, that was good. And I think you find that it could damage you. If you do it a certain way, you can actually tear up somebody's arm. But we already, after all the years of training, we know a safe way to do it. And so we can do it to each other and give the other person a lot of pain, and then we all laugh about it. And that's we have no fear of that pain. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah, we don't.
I gotta add something to that. When Sensei would do Nikkyo on me, one time, eventually his Nikkyo stopped hurting me, but his Nikkyo still controlled my center. So I was like, what is this? There's no pain compliance.
Yeah.
With totally controlling my balance and my center. And I was not going to resist against that Nikkyo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like that Kansetsuwaza almost became almost like very kokyu in feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no pain compliance.
It's not pain compliance that makes Nikkyo work.
No, it's not.
It's a submission. It's a joint lock working on your skeletal structure, and the pain is a byproduct.
Yeah, pain is a byproduct.
Yeah, it's a bonus. but you can't move.
No.
You're stuck, and you've gone beyond pain. The pain stops at a certain point. Interesting thing about Nikkyo, it hits a certain level, and that's it. Your pain receptors are all fulfilled. So I think, we train in the art like this, and we overcome our fears of pain, of hard work, of physical. Can I physically continue? Yeah, you overcome those things. And in that sense, it's peace, but I wouldn't want to market this as the art of peace.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to say it's the art of peace either. I mean, like, your body's forged, so things like Nikkyo and Songkyo, they stop hurting you, but yet they are still very effective on controlling your center and balance.
Yes.
So it was, to me, it was like, how is he doing this? So, and like, I went from being super duper scared taking his ukemi to being like, yeah, this is, I was almost at peace when I took his ukemi.
Almost at peace.
Almost at peace. Just, I knew where to go to protect myself. I knew exactly when he was going to throw me, when the technique would, like, break my center, he would throw me. So I could read the technique. And I guess in that way, I had peace of mind when I was taking his ukemi.
But you wouldn't market Aikido as the art of peace.
I would not market Aikido as like you said, peace is the pinnacle of the mountain. You reach there after climbing the mountain.
The journey.
The
path, yeah.
Training, not running out of oxygen.
Yeah.
Making sure you have enough equipment and food. Maybe you make it.
Yeah.
Well, since you're talking about marketing, I don't think they should change it. I think you should run with the ball, because you have to figure out what sets you apart from these other martial arts. So we go, we twist the wrist, they twist the wrist. We atemi, they punch in the face. We do this, they do this, which is all basically the same to the uninitiated. So, and you're also trying to attract a more upper crust, more elite person. A person who doesn't just think about destroying others, right? You're looking for this person that wants something more. So it's not that we should market it. It is already marketed for us this way. So perhaps you should just leave it in place. But is Aikido the art of peace? Yes, at the end. No, at the beginning.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like or subscribe to this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.